Good morning. It is day one of the reading rush. I have 3 weeks worth of laundry behind me to fold and put away. And even though this isn't on my reading rush TBR, TBRs are whatever anyway, like they're a wish. I'm gonna be listening to The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo while I tackle this beast of a chore behind me, and then we are going to do things. I have a plan. I have sort of themed my planner, and we are going to just make the most. Just make the most of whatever this is. Life is strange. So I just finished listening to The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. It's a formal innovation in YA, which I think is really cool. I love when YA as a marketing category pushes foreign boundaries. It's a story told in poetry, and I suppose I should flip us this way so that we get the sunlight. Wow. Basically, this morning was like a work and then admin chores morning. It's not even afternoon yet. It's 11:30. Where did the book go? This one. This will be the second book of the reading rush. It is Nalo Hopkinson's Midnight Robber, and this is a book that I put out there to buddy read with my patrons, so I am prioritizing this. A lot of folks' copies haven't arrived yet though, so I started this on the weekend and I'm like 15-20 pages in just for a little taste, and this sounds like it's gonna be a kind of weird and wacky ride because this is set on another planet, and it's a Caribbean colony on another planet, and in this like new world, new nation, there's been this integration of microscopic AI. So it sounds like most people are implanted with this AI from the moment they're born. They are never offline. They are never off the web. They have these, like, they can connect to the web. They have things flashing across their eyes. Their houses are smart. All manual labor is done by technology, except for the pedicabs, because the nanotechnology, or the technology, the AI that I guess runs this new world, allows for dissension from the system as long as it doesn't like fuck things up, as long as it's not damaging. And so there's a religious movement that are allowed to practice their beliefs of being like tech blind. Not sure how I like that language. But so they're like tech blind. They live in blind houses. So no technology. They use real paper that they make by like pulping trees so that they actually have true privacy. Like, this society is so far, technology has been so far integrated that nobody really has any privacy. It's like the true extension of 1984 Big Brother is watching, and it's not that like thought police interrogating you at all time. It's just that sort of like innocuous level of surveillance that we're sort of in right now with like Google literally watching everything we do, to the point that like you watch like one YouTuber's birth story and all of a sudden you get served ads for diapers on Amazon, and like baby becomes a category. Or maybe it's just because Amazon also knows how old I am and they're like, baby making age. If she's gonna have a baby, it's now. We should put this here for her. The technology, the algorithms are watching what I do, and they're feeding me things that they think I'll be interested in, and like, it's so integrated in this book. And the interesting thing is, this is from the year 2000, so 20 years ago, Hopkinson was thinking about technology in this way. And to my knowledge, the internet in the year 2000, I think my dad had a work computer. I don't think we had a computer with the internet in the year 2000. It didn't have email. I think we played like educational computer games that didn't require the internet on our computer, that like on my dad's work computer. The internet tracking and watching and feeding me things was not a thing, and yet here she is writing this book that I guess anticipates technology and AI becoming this constant thing in our lives. I think this could be super interesting for discussion, and I'm curious how this is going to go, because at the same time, it opens with a poem, and it opens with this little bit talking about an Anansi story. And so Anansi is apparently an Akan folktale character, often in the shape of a spider, sometimes the god of all knowledge of stories. They have the role of the trickster, and they are a super important character of West African, African American, and Caribbean folklore. So on the one hand, we have this, it's framed with poetry and then folklore, which is old, and then right away we're into like future tech. So I'm curious how this goes. Super curious how this goes. I'll update you in a little bit. Okay, bye. It is 5:15. I have done a good chunk of reading in Midnight Robber, and now I am starting Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey on audio from the library while I make dinner. Okay, so can we just talk for a minute about how ridiculous the premise of this novel is? Georgie is a small town children's party clown. That's her business. Not like a party planning business where she like, because I could see that, like, event planning. Like, she does the whole shebang, the theme, the games, whatever. But she specifically refers to herself as a party clown. And she is able to buy a house as a party clown. So either party clowns make better money than I think, or this is just, like, ridiculous fantasy. And the author is like deeply out of touch about what, or the author lives like on a completely different planet where in the like middle of fucking nowhere, but it's a waterside town, but in the middle of fucking nowhere where there's also water and real estate is cheap enough a party clown can afford it. It's just maybe a little bit too real considering all the house hunting I'm currently doing. It's not a good start to this book. Also, the start, like the actual cold open, is Georgie throwing ice cream at a naked, drunk baseball player, ex-baseball player that she had a crush on as a kid and still has a crush on now. And he like sits up and he covers himself with a t-shirt, and then I think he throws it at her and she's like, oh wow, his penis is big. Talk about two bat, what's his name? And I'm like, of course. It was just a weird cold open and it made me feel cringy because apparently I'm like 9 years old at heart, and somebody talking about like a baseball bat long penis just makes me feel cringe. Yep, so on the one hand, I feel like I'm too old for this book because I'm like, ha, real estate, a party clown buying real estate. And on the other hand, I'm like, oh no, he has a big penis. I'm gonna give this book like 30 more minutes, and then if it's like too cringy at that point, like if there's anything that's just too cringe from that like 30 minutes in, I'm gonna DNF it. I just thought it would be fun because I've heard so many good things about Fix Her Up. So far, just a little gross feeling. I don't know, we'll see. Alright, good morning. Today is day 2 of the reading rush, and I just finished listening to Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. I don't know why I do this to myself. I'm like, oh, these popular romance novels that I see everywhere all over the store, I'll borrow them, and then I listen to them. It makes me hate myself. It makes me hate myself. They're addicting. They're like candy. Once you start, you have to finish. And I find myself deeply conflicted with them. So Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey is about, the way it's been pitched is joke of the town, literal clown, party clown for hire, Georgie, is trying to get her very successful family to take her seriously. Injured, down on his luck, baseball guy, professional baseball player, former professional baseball player, I guess, if he's injured and can't play anymore, is a real ladies' man and is trying to land a commentating job on a family network. And so it's pitched as like they're going to pretend to date so that people will see Georgie as an adult and the network will see Travis as a family man. However, the fake relationship doesn't happen until like a good way in. It's established that Georgie likes Travis. She's always had a crush on Travis. He was her brother's best friend growing up, and she still has a crush on him as an adult when he comes back to town to sort of like lick his wounds and drink and trash his apartment. Right off the bat, he realizes that, hey, Georgie is a grown-up and I like her. After they've already had a sexual encounter, they are clearly attracted to each other. They propose this fake dating thing. I don't know why romance novels like this, which are clearly like fantasy, candy, like you just want good things to happen, why they insist on inserting such flimsy conflict. The conflict being, well, eventually it's going to come out that like they're fake dating. And both of them just keep reframing their experiences in terms of this like fake dating thing, but they were never fake dating because they both clearly liked each other to begin with. Why not just write a book where the conflict isn't with the romance? Like, Georgie was also trying to pitch a business. What I really loved about this book, and what I would have loved more of, is the Just Us club that the sisters and sister-in-laws in Georgie's family start to support each other in their career goals. And I feel like this is just proof that like maybe romance isn't for me right now. Like the romance genre isn't for me right now. It's not what I want, because the Just Us Club, so Georgie wants to start a party planning business. She wants a legitimate entertainment business with employees so that she can book more parties because she loves planning parties. She loves themes and putting together these big events, which is a thing that she can do, that she's really good at. So she wants to start this business. So like I love the Just Us League. And the men in this book are confusingly toxic. So like Steven, the brother, it's just so patronizing and controlling. Every time he spoke, it just so gross. And then the love interest, Travis, he's broken. He's a broken bad boy, which I mean is just a trope that I don't understand. Like I definitely get the appeal. Jess on Gilmore Girls, definitely sexier than Dean. Logan on Gilmore Girls, sexier than Dean, because both of them have that kind of like bad boy, doesn't play by the rules thing. And like, even now as a grown-ass human who recognizes that that is not a thing to get into, like you should not get into a relationship thinking that you can change somebody. That has to be something that they want to do. What was my point? My point being that Travis is this like womanizing, broken person who comes from a broken home where his parents' messy divorce resulted in him being shoved around and unloved, and he has like no stability, no relationships, very broken human in terms of like what a healthy relationship looks like, what trust looks like, what working through problems actually works like or looks like. I think the appeal for Georgie is that she can heal him. She can show him that he is worthy of love and stability, and like she says that multiple times. Fixing the broken human is very romanticized. There are two sides of my brain here, and the sex scenes themselves, they are consensual. Travis is looking for clear, enthusiastic consent. Gold star. Round of applause. That's what we want to see. Clear, enthusiastic consent. The part that I struggle with is the the word choice in the dirty talk. Now, I get that that is part of some humans' fantasy to sort of be degraded and reduced to pieces of meat and body parts. I guess, I get that that is a turn on for some people, and I don't want to yuck anyone's yum, but I think what it is that the rest of the men in this book, the way that men behave in this book in general, doesn't give me the impression that Travis doesn't view women as pieces of meat for his pleasure 100% of the time, opposed to just in very specific contexts when he is talking dirty to create this fantasy, right? That Georgie is younger, significantly younger. She was like the oopsie baby. So the family had her older brother Stephen and older sister Bethany, and they were like well established as a family when oopsie baby Georgie came along. I get the impression that there is at the minimum 5 to 7 years. I don't know if there's an amount given, but I get the impression that her siblings are in their 30s and she is 23. They do say that number. She is 23, so she's just graduated college. And she is a virgin, because of course she is. This is a romance book, so of course she's a virgin. Hello, Anastasia Steele. So much of this first sexual encounter is with this guy who wants to dominate, that she immediately falls back into this submissive position within the space of two consenting humans who want to take on these roles, that they have communicated these roles, opposed to just falling into them because gender roles. I think that's what it is that it's not communicated that being dominated is her kink. It's just the role she seems to fall in because she is a younger, inexperienced woman. Within the literary space, I don't, no shame, whatever humans want to do in their real sexual lives, go for it. As long as you are consenting and you're not hurting anyone, go for it. But I think within the context of literature, where things are controlled, where fantasy is controlled, where there is so much emphasis on clear, enthusiastic consent, and yet this lack of communication about the roles, about turn-ons, that it just makes it seem like Georgie is this like default wet blanket, that she's very much under the control of this older, very experienced man, and it made me feel gross. It made me feel really gross for her. I think also the fact that like the start within like the first like 5 pages, we learn that Travis is known for his second bat. He's 2 bats, Travis, because he is very well endowed and everybody knows this. The fact that her first sexual encounter with Mr. 2 Bats, it just doesn't sound like it would be a good time. I don't want to be too graphic. And like, I get that this is a romance book and it's in part fantasy. But then at the same time, look at the cover of this book. I'm going to pop it up on the screen. This isn't like the cheesy Harlequin books that are clearly for like older ladies. Like there's a clear market for a lot of romance books. And then I see, like working in a bookstore, I see new romance books coming in with younger women. They're not like your Fabios with your muscly shirtless man in a kilt and like a muscly pirate man. Like this is a deviation from the standards. It very much looks like YA, and the young adult, 23 is a young adult aspect of these books, and the fact that like in the bookstore we place them on tables with like beach reads, and there are fun young adult books on these tables. These covers don't look like romance. I could see young people picking up these books because it looks like young adults, and the relationship dynamics in them, because they're not meant to teach, right? Like young adult literature proper because it's children's literature, has a didactic element to it. These romance books are pure escapism. They are pure fantasy. They are pure wish fulfillment, but they look like young adults. And I'm not saying, like, I read Stephen King at 11. Like, I definitely don't want to police what young people have access to. At the same time, I'm conflicted because the cover design makes it accessible, makes it look like a young adult novel, is probably going to draw on that audience who maybe doesn't have the experience, the life experience to question the dynamics of these fantasy relationships that an actual adult would question, if that makes sense, right? Like a 16-year-old picking up this book, this is a good idea. Like going from no sexual contact with another human being ever to 2 bats. Maybe I'm being naive about what young people have access to in terms of education, and that they wouldn't skip straight to bat. Oh, also now I'm thinking of all of the gross, like, baseball sports metaphors that go along with sexual activities. This book is a mess. I don't even know how to rate this. Like, definitely addictive read, and yet I have so many concerns for Georgie. That, like, this is her first boyfriend, her first sexual relationship, that he is much older, he is in a position of power as a celebrity, like not just a hometown celebrity, but like a national, like I played national high up sports. I don't sport. Whatever professional baseball is, like the kind where you make lots of money baseball, what would that be called? NHL is hockey, NBA is basketball. This is gonna bug me. Hey Google, what is the acronym for professional baseball?
According to acronyms and abbreviations,
MLB! He is paparazzi taking pictures of them while they are out and about on the town. There's just so many issues that I see with this. I would love just a story of Georgie not... Again, I think this comes back to me, like, not being in a place to take on or want romance novels. That escapist fantasy is not a place where I am as a reader, and I don't know why I keep trying to read them. I just want more of Georgie. Like, she is a young adult protagonist trying to start a business. She knows what she wants. She doesn't care if she looks silly. She has this creative passion, and she's pursuing it. And she has this support network of badass ladies who all want to start businesses, who all want to step outside of their roles, of their prescribed roles of like small town wife and mother, and pursue their passion. Like, all of them have creative passion, and I just want the men to fuck off, and I want a Justice League, Just Us League focused book with these women, because these women are great. So yeah, that was Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. Hi, it's day 3 of the reading rush. It's like noon. I worked this morning. I haven't done any reading today, but I'm gonna clean up this space so that it's usable, and then check in with my patrons, because I didn't do that yesterday. I was super busy. I'm about halfway through Midnight Robber. I am going to clean, caffeinate, read. That's the plan for today. And I'll check in with you in a little bit. Okay. So I think as a joke, Ariel and Raylene mentioned as a challenge for your reading vlog to include yourself making a cup of coffee or beverage of some kind. So that is what I'm gonna do. So the coffee that I am drinking is Marumba Burundi. It's a bourbon variety grown at a very specific altitude by a smallholder from Winyana Hill. So this is from Detour Coffee Roasters. They're relatively local and they ship free over $20. So while the water is boiling and it's making an atrocious noise, it's gonna be fun on mic, I'm sure. Let's just quickly look at what I would like to read today. Midnight Robber by Nalo Hawkinson. Sheets, the graphic novel that Ariel Bissett cannot stop talking about by Brenna Thumler. And the Reading Rush book club pick, Such a Fun Age, by Kylie Reed. I would like to finish Midnight Robber ideally and start Such a Fun Age, which I think is doable because I have tomorrow off. You guys know how to make coffee, right? Like you don't need, just know that it's this deliciousness in my cup. Apparently beans from Africa have a very like fruity, floral note. I will say that I love drinking this black. A lot of the coffee, I've just been sampling whatever Detour has, whatever single bean, single roast Detour has each month. Not all of them are good black. This is delicious. It is delicious tasting coffee. Good morning. Today is Thursday, day 4 of the Reading Rush, I think. I don't know. Time is meaningless. Time is meaningless when you work in retail and you don't have like a weekend like everybody else. And now with COVID and like my work schedule actually being bananas, like the start time changes now. I don't sleep well. It's good times, good times. What did I do last night? I was supposed to finish Midnight Robber. What I actually did was color coordinate my washi tape because that was a better use of my time. I feel like a space cadet pulled in many directions. There's no more to that statement. I think we've sort of hit the point in the Reading Rush just based on everything else that I have to do as a semi-functional adult human, where I will be lucky if I finish one book. That's okay. Weird mood this morning. Anyways, I'm gonna actually try and read a little bit of Midnight Robber, which is actually excellent. It has gone in so many different directions that I was not expecting. Huge content warnings for child abuse and sexual assault, because was not expecting that either. Yeah. I literally have no way to predict where this is going. I genuinely do not know where this is going to end up because it's just taken so many interesting turns. And I get the feeling that maybe Tantan is going to take on this like Kvothe from The Name of the Wind, like larger than life figure. So I'm curious if she's going to take on the role of Midnight Robber, the robber queen, I guess, and become this figure from legend in this new Where and When. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this when I have finished it. I just finished Midnight Robber and wow, like this is phenomenal. This is so weird, so wacky. The ending, and I don't even want to tell you about it because I don't want to spoil it. This is a book I will 100% reread because by the time you get to the ending, it now reframes the whole piece. Just, oh my God, read it. Read it. So many things about technology, race, the ugliness of humanity, how we're bound to repeat things. So this new Caribbean colony, people of color on Earth decided to get in a ship and to go to a new planet, and they colonized this new planet. So it's very like the languages spoken are not European, and like European is a dirty word. Folks who have European blood lineage hide that fact on this new Caribbean colonized planet. tech is integrated into all of them so that there isn't a working class. Technology, artificial intelligence, does the labor so that you don't have a labor class of cooks and nurses, for example. They've created this very equal society with tech. So we learn that folks who commit a crime get exiled from Toussaint and they go to the new halfway tree. And this place is lacking the tech and recreates so much of the ugliness of European colonization with the Douin people, who are these like lizard tree people who are like one with the nature, very in tune with the nature, very much an analog to indigenous groups. The ugliness of humans when left to their own devices is totally repeated. It seems to speak to something at our very cores that when we are given the opportunity to have power over other people, we often take it and we are shitty. And the storytelling pieces in this, the blending of myth and legend, we get to watch myth making happen. It's absolutely phenomenal. And like, I had no idea where it was going. I mean, I had a couple of things where I was like, well, this has to fall apart at some point. Here's a loose thread. I feel like that has to come back around, but like I didn't know how it was gonna happen. Oh my goodness, if you own a copy of this already, put it higher on your TBR. If you don't, please put it on your TBR, get it on your library holds list. This is the sort of like soft sci-fi I love. How to recover from that? How to recover from such a phenomenal read? I think I'm gonna pick up Sheets by Brenna Thumler. It's a highly praised graphic novel. It's time. It's going to happen. And then I think when I finish this, I will start Such a Fun Age, which is the Reading Rush book club book. I have finished Sheets by Brenna Thumler, which was very cute. I don't know, I have to assume she's 12 if they were excited about high school boys being at the Halloween party. So I have to assume she's like 12 or 13. She's not in high school yet. She's in her last years of middle school. And her mom has died and her dad is super depressed. And so she's like 12 or 13 and trying to keep the family afloat by maintaining their laundry business, their dry cleaning business that the mother started. And like the mother loved this place, she loved the work, she loved the house above the shop, she loved the little town. And now that she's gone and the dad is struggling and like failing to adult, the family is struggling. And then at the same time, there is a young ghost who is struggling as well. He's struggling with being dead. The two sort of meet. It is very cute. And I do sort of like, if you've watched my channel for a while, you know that I have to be connected to the illustrations. If I don't like looking at the illustrations, then I'm just basically reading bare bones text, which has very little appeal, right? Like the graphic part of the graphic novel, I feel like really has to work for the reader. I do really like the sort of soft, muted color palette for the real world. I like the like gray blue toned, cool toned ghost world. I really like the distinction between the two, but like I like characters that are sort of rounded and cute, and this does that. I did really, really like this. And I noticed that Thumler has also done an illustrated version of Anne of Green Gables. That might be fun to thumb through at work sometime. I don't know if I would purchase a graphic novel adaptation of Anne of Green Gables. I'm not like a hardcore Anne fan. And then I started Such a Fun Age, and it reads quite quickly. Very much get quickly sucked in, and so we're looking at Amira, who is a like young 25, 26-year-old Black woman who comes from a family of like really motivated tradespeople. They all work with their hands, and she's the only one in her family to go to college. She went to a 4-year college. She has an English degree. She wanted to go to school for transcription, but she never really liked it. And then when her stenographer broke, she just quit instead of repairing it, and she's been doing like odd jobs on the side. And so currently she's babysitting for this like hashtag boss babe who has this online social media presence and who is trying to use like her online presence to get on the Hillary Clinton campaign and get books published. And she's working as a babysitter for this family. And so the book opens with this white family calling on Amira to come take their kid and like entertain her at like the store down the street for just an hour or so because they've experienced some vandalism and they have the cops in the house and it's upsetting her. So just take the kid and entertain her. And she's like, look, like you're calling me at 11 o'clock on a, I don't know, Friday night, Saturday night. I am dressed to go clubbing and I've had a couple of drinks. And the mom's like, yeah, that's fine. I just need her out of the house. Like, I need her out of the stressful environment. And so Amira agrees to take her. But then while at the store, a well-meaning white lady is like, this black woman who's in this very wealthy grocery store, like Trader Joe's kind of grocery store, is here late at night with a white child that is clearly not her own. There's this incident in which like the security is called and the security's like trying to talk to this 2-year-old child and ask her like if she's okay, where her parents are, and like they won't listen to Amira, who's like, I'm her babysitter, here, let me call the employer. They get a hold of the white dad and he ends up like booking it down the block and being like, this is ridiculous. And so she's experienced this racist incident. Part of her is like, if I had a regular paying 9-to-5 job, like if I weren't working this shit job, babysitting, this wouldn't have happened to me. I mean, racism is everywhere. If you work a 9-to-5 job, you're going to experience that racism as well. So I'm not really sure where this is going because we seem to be spending sort of equal amounts of time between this white protagonist, this white hashtag boss babe, Alexis, or Alex, A-L-I-X. That's why I want to call her Alexis, because that I makes me... Anyways, doesn't matter. And Amira. I assume they're around the same age, because Alex is supposed to be a lot younger, like almost a decade younger than her husband. Whatever, has sort of cobbled together this hashtag hustle, this side hustle that's become her main hustle, and is a public figure now. Oh, and her husband did something racist on TV. He's a news anchor, and he made a racist comment, and that's why their house was vandalized. That's the first, like, 40 pages. That's what you learn. And I am curious to see where this will go. Again, pick this up just because it is the book. I keep wanting to call this the Booktubeathon. This is the Reading Rush's book club pick, so I didn't do any research on it. I just bought it. That is what I am currently reading. It is 4 o'clock now, so around 5 o'clock my partner and I are gonna go through the housing listings that came out today. We're putting in an offer on a house right now. I think this will be like our 14th or 15th offer. Housing market is tough right now. You would think with COVID that nobody would be buying houses, but people from Toronto are like, shit, I don't want to pay rent on a place when like I can't enjoy the experiences of the city, and I don't want to be cramped in a 2-bedroom apartment with my children while we all work and school from home. Let's buy a house outside of Toronto. And so now I'm competing with Toronto people who has lots of money. So at first we thought COVID would be like this blessing in disguise for us because we were struggling to find a house before COVID because with our price bracket we were competing with a lot of flippers who could just beat us by paying cash, right? And we can't compete with a no inspection cash offer, but now we can't compete with Toronto people. So here's to the 14th or 15th offer. Damn. I mean, if I had been laid off just like one day later, I would have a house. Like, we were in the process of getting our mortgage approved. Like, literally, I was in the middle of emailing documents to our mortgage broker when my manager called to lay me off. Like, if she just called a day later, we had a place. COVID fucked it up. And now COVID is still fucking it up by making the market, like the product on the market is few and far between because nobody wants to sell right now and have strangers traipsing through their house. Slightly depressing phone call later to talk about an offer for a house that we like, that has potential, that has space, that has walls, all 4 of them, and they're connected to each other this time. Which, believe it or not, hasn't been true for all of the houses that we looked at. One day, if you would like, I will do a house hunting story and talk about some of my favorite houses and favorite weird things that I have seen. It's not what I do on this channel, but might be a fun laugh and make you a renter for life. All right, I'm gonna read. I'm gonna read about another 20-something-year-old who also feels like they're failing at life. I dropped the camera on the ground, so I'm mostly just checking to see if it works. Today is Friday, July 24th. It is day 5 of the reading rush. Yeah, that makes sense. It started on Monday. 5 days. I am absolutely exhausted. I should turn off the copyrighted music that I've been listening to while I talk to the camera. The work schedule of like 3 shifts where I have to get up at 3:30 in the morning. And in the meantime, I'm staying up later. I'm getting up a little bit later. Like I'm getting up at 4:30, 5 o'clock instead of 3:30. My sleep schedule is fucked and my body feels it. I haven't felt this just physically exhausted in a long time. You sort of get used to it. Like when you work weird shifts, you sort of get used to just always feeling like crap and having no energy. And then having those 2 months off, I was still getting up early. I was up by like 6:30, 7 o'clock every day for no reason. Like most people were sleeping until noon. Most people that I knew were sleeping until noon. They were taking advantage of this and like reliving their like childhood weekends during the summer, right? Like I still kept a reasonable schedule, but I got more sleep and I had regular sleep. I think this is the first week that we've been up to 5:30, a 5:30 start time. If they widen the hours of the store being open, they're pushing us slowly back to our normal hours with a 5 a.m. start. So right now we're at a 5:30 start. Some of the shifts have been delicious. Like 7 is a beautiful time to roll into work. I know for some of you that'll be like super early and you're like, what do you mean a 7 a.m. start is atrocious? The other staff, whenever they come in to do the trade weekly story, are like, it's 7 in the morning. And I'm like, oh, you slept in. All perspective, right? But right now I'm feeling the wonky schedule, like physically. Like my hands just feel weak. I feel noodly. I can feel how tired I am. And like, I can only drink so much coffee. I went straight from work. I had a picnic lunch with my partner in his backyard. So he had an hour-long lunch, so we hung out for, well, actually, I arrived a little bit earlier and just sat in his backyard and read. That's relevant to this reading vlog. I read some of Such a Fun Age. I have no idea where it's going. I'm not even sure I like it. I'm gonna give it a little bit more of a chance. That's it. We had our picnic lunch. We hung out for his hour-long lunch break, and then I went home, showered off all of the sunscreen and like work grime, and washed my hair for the first time in 3 days. Yep. And at 4, I have to go back out to view a house, which was actually not that far from my partner's house. But I also didn't want to live in his backyard covered in work grime and sunscreen and like being unwashed for 3 hours. He's like a full sun backyard too. So like I would have been baking in my black work clothes. I drove home. I killed the planet. I'm sorry everyone. I'm killing the planet with all my driving. Yes, I'm tired. And my day's not over is my point. My brain just broke. I have to go look at a house. The appointment's at 4:45. I also have to pick someone up from work. Their shift ends at 7. It's just, my day is long and all I want to do is actually sleep. Instead of pumping myself up with stimulants. This is the most like negative Nancy vlog, and I am so sorry. Like, this is the most negative Nancy day. It's kind of a privileged thing to complain about. Like, oh, I have so many things to do, like house hunting and like going to a job, because not everybody gets to go to a job right now. I'm aware on the one hand that it is very privileged of me to complain about having to go to work and having my like life schedule shift, sleep schedule fucked up, but it still sucks. I'm aware that I'm very lucky to have been called back to have a job right now. It's not enough hours to get consistently back in the routine, right? All right, enough bitching. I'm gonna read. Do I actually want to read? I might just lay on the floor for a little bit and think about reading. To be totally honest with you, that sounds like a good plan. All right, day 6 of the reading rush. Today is July 26th? 25th. Today is Saturday, July 25th. I feel like this has been a week of even less reading than normal, even though the purpose of the reading rush is supposed to be to read more than normal. It is what it is. It's just how this week turned out. Did a whole bunch of house chores this morning, replanted my pothos. So I have a big pothos. It's upstairs. It just got a shower. I trimmed up the pothos, and this time a lot of the variegated leaves have grown long, so I cut those to propagate. Got all the dishes washed, hung out with Artie this morning in the backyard. His little cancerous leg is troubling him, and he's hobbling around on 3 legs right now, so we hung out on the porch together while I had my coffee. If I can get enough of the chores done, I am hoping to squeeze in a little bit of Adobe course before D&D. The reading rush is over. It is the Monday after it, so the 27th. Just got back from work. I have 3 days off. Hopefully they are less busy than the week of the reading rush itself, because that was just a super busy week. So the only thing I haven't updated you on is that I finished Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid, which was the Reading Rush book club book. It is about performative allyship. What sort of unfolds is Alex realizing that she needs to do better and yet still profoundly failing because she hasn't really got it. She does some really questionable things, and then the guy who takes the video also does some really questionable things. Both of them are trying, and both of them are right in some ways, and both of them are wrong in some ways, and like by design it's a little bit of a mess. And I totally get that there isn't one way, that there isn't one type of racism. So there can't really be like one solid takeaway, one solid answer, other than giving us a really nuanced look at performative allyship. I wish that there had been a discussion. I know there's some controversy right now because this was the book club pick, and I was looking forward to that live stream to participate. I did like prioritize this book club book in my own, I prioritized my book club book, Midnight Robber. I don't know where I've put it. And we totally still can discuss it afterwards, because I think Midnight Robber has a lot going on that's worth discussing. So I prioritize that, and I prioritize Such a Fun Age because of the reading rush book club read. Patrons, keep an eye out. I'm going to make a housekeeping post because there are a couple of things that we need to sort of check in with. Let me know how your reading rush went. Did you complete all 7 challenges? Did you just read more, focus on reading for a little bit, and that brought you joy? Did you participate in the Such a Fun Age book club book? Let me know your thoughts on it, because I would love to see how other people felt about it. Thank you, patrons, for supporting the channel, for making videos like this possible, for making the purchasing of books, like such a fun age possible. I really appreciate that you enable me to do this, to work on these projects, to work on this channel. If you are interested in becoming a patron and supporting the channel, links are in the description box down below.